Hi, Jon Ippolito here. I am hoping to catch us up on some of the directions the field of digital creation seems to be moving in as of 2024. With the caveat, like all predictions, this one's going to be speculative. It's hard at this moment not to see artificial intelligence as the focus of most research and also some consternation. I'll start off by saying that I don't think the discipline of digital curation has really caught up with the implications of generative AI. As much as, say, education, software development, even the arts, where the impact has been felt more. Some intrepid experimentation by digital curators has demonstrated how you can use tools like ChatGPT and Gemini and Claude for data science and the humanities. In our class, we'll actually look at some demos about how you can automate dreary tasks like adding metadata to photography or cleaning up bioinformatic data in a spreadsheet. But I think it's interesting to ask some more philosophical questions. And one that interests me is how these tools are going to transform the concept of the archive, right? So we're used to thinking of archives as endpoints of a cultural artifact. A photograph is, shot with a camera and then digitized. Maybe it's born digital when snapped with someone's phone. It circulates through the internet. It's on Flickr or Instagram, whatever. And if it's deemed suitably notable for, the future, and we need to preserve it, it might make its way into an archive or a museum where conservators will ingest it into a database or a preservation system as part of the historic record. As AI artist and researcher Eric Salvaggio points out, generative AI is like an archive, but in reverse. Whether it's trained on a curated photo collection or the Common Crawl, that is this compendium scraped from the internet of billions of web pages. Large language models start by atomizing the content in this archive and then compressing it into a sort of engine that can produce new artifacts derived from that original content. Of course, at the moment, U.S. law doesn't provide any recourse or control over the creation of this automated offspring. If you're an archive, you really have very little power to influence whether someone reuses your work for generating new images or text or code. That's true for individual creators and it's true for institutions. We'll see if that law changes in the near future. But for now, this is one of many ethical questions around generative AI that we'll explore in the course. For now, though, I want to look at the sort of extreme case where this paradigm shift could make coming into contact with actual human-generated artifacts less likely for the average person. If you need a photo for your website, it's going to be faster and cheaper to prompt Stable Diffusion or Midjourney or DALL-E to create one than to pay for a stock photo or a professional photographer. Human creators and those who treasure human creativity may react with this forecast, with panic. But, it's a panic that those of us who lived through the dot-com era have felt before. Back then, we worried that digitizing and uploading, paintings or music concerts would mean people would spend less time with the real thing. And that's basically come to pass. It's conceivable that the same fate could befall human-produced images and songs of all kinds, digital or otherwise. Maybe some people in the future will interact more with surrogates conjured via impromptu, conversations with chatbots. Now, the original web chopped up the printed books and magazines. This used to be seamless pages, and then the web sort of allowed you to kind of pull out an image or text or style. And in fact, that was part of the mechanism of how HTML works. But generative AI goes a step further. It atomizes the web itself into individual words that are combined probabilistically when the user asks for more content to view or read. These models clearly wouldn't exist without archives. They depend on them for training, but they also shatter the authority of the archive's status as the standard bearer for truth. Of course, there's numerous ways these models can misrepresent the truth themselves. They can reproduce bias in the training data, or they can actually reduce the diversity of archival records to averages by which the answers are generated. It's kind of a generic stereotyping that goes on, even if the original data has no bias at all. So, there's no question that scaling up the amount of data fed into these models has produced remarkable results from ultimately fairly simple mathematical constructs. Companies like OpenAI and Google are running out of data to scrape, right? This has prompted some engineers to suggest training new models from synthetic data produced by the models themselves. So like when you can't find more images on Flickr or DeviantArt or whatever, you would actually have the model generate new images and then train on those new AI generated images instead of human generated images. That's a nice kind of perpetual source of data, but it also threatens to create ever more inbred generations of output. And critics argue that this will inevitably result in a kind of model collapse where everything goes to crap and you can't get anything good out of these systems. There's sort of a preview of this disturbing vision you can explore right now. It's called websim.ai, a very interesting site that's effectively a version of the internet created on the fly by user prompts. So the site presents you with this kind of fake browser within a browser. You type a web domain that you want to visit, not one that you know of, but you just invent, like malaysia.travel or pumpkin.recipes. Put that in a location bar, and behind the scenes, this large language model will generate HTML and images for a website that seems to be a probable match for that web address. Clever prompters have gotten it to do all kinds of cool stuff, like creating playable 2 and 3D games. They never touch the code or make an actual website. It's just asking the model to present that for them. And as a result, you get this kind of mirror of the web, created not by original, HTML coders or web designers or content creators, not by humans, but by this kind of spur of the moment reaction by this model to the desires of the viewers to go to a website. Anyway, as we move forward, I encourage you to ask questions about this technology. It can seem very unfamiliar, and I think there's a lot of myths around it. Just ask them as they occur to you, and be adventurous. Explore some of the uses to see what it can and can't do, as I've suggested in the syllabus. Good luck.